Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chris P, and I'm back for another edition of Don't Miss Anything. And today we're in the ethereal of the Boreal Valley. I'm pretty sure that's actually a made-up word. That Irithyll, that's what it is, of the Boreal Valley. This is actually not going to include Andor Lundo, but I can do one about Andor Lundo if you want. Just leave it below in the comment section. The first key item we're going to pick up is Dorhys Gnawing, which is a spell which summons an insect swarm. And this spell is mostly dark damage, but also has a bleed damage, or will inflict bleed damage on weaker enemies, and stronger ones will increase their bleed build-up meter. If you guys don't know, the Don't Miss Anything edition is basically a walkthrough of the bigger areas where you might be feeling kind of lost, or like you might miss an item, and I'm pretty much just going to run around and pick up everything. And if you want to follow my player through the game, you can do the same thing. This area here, the Boreal Valley, was really intimidating to me at first, and when I first came to it, I was thinking, like, when I first played through it as a summon, I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, how am I ever going to get all this down? But it is a pretty big area, and like the other ones I've covered, it can seem pretty intimidating, but after I played through it a couple times as a summon, it really wasn't too bad. And when it actually seems like there's a lot of ways to go, there's also a lot of dead ends, so ultimately there's only a couple options. And there was like a lot of gems in here. There's a couple lightning gems. Well, there's only one lightning gem. There's an illusionary wall right there too, just so you know. And here's where you can pick up the magic Cluttering. The magic Cluttering will add 15% to your magic attacks, as well as increase incoming physical damage by 10%. So kind of a trade-off there. And there is going to be like some illusionary walls, and what I tried to do is, while I was running through, I was kind of like swinging at nothing, and usually that'll kind of be like my way of saying, like, hey, there's an illusionary wall here, if I forget to mention it while I'm doing the voiceover. Also to be noted too, in the corner of this room there's like some statues and stuff right over there, and one of them is actually something that they call like the Pilgrim, which has to do with like the Hallowing quest line. And here's the roster of knights, which is basically a top 10 list of the Dark Moon Knights, or the top 10 most contributed Dark Moon Knights successful. Just in case you're wondering, obviously there are other online players. Not obvious, but it could be obvious. Who knows? But what I was saying is, there's like some statues in the corner, and one of them is actually like one of the guys that looks like the Yol of Lundor, one of those shellback kind of characters. And you can actually talk to him and stuff, but if you're trying to do the Halloween quest line with the Yol of Lundor and Yuri and Anre, then you definitely don't want to kill him, because that will basically, if you kill him, it'll immediately end the opportunity to do that quest line and finish the game with that end game cinematics, or to finish it in that way. You'll basically be unable to complete it. Also, like, I did notice some guys running around with torches and stuff, and for some reason I don't have a torch. I'm not sure if it's like an item or if it's a weapon, but I don't know how I missed it somewhere. Maybe the Shrine Handmaid sells them, but I actually don't have one. So I did crank the brightness up, and it's a lot easier to see now. When I actually did this playthrough, it was really early in the morning, and I was getting a glare, and I like couldn't see anything. So I am kind of like slow in here, and I apologize for that. But with the glare behind me at my TV, it was like really hard to see anything. But this area can be pretty tricky too, because there's a lot of those invisible guys down at the bottom. And here we have Yorshka's spear. Yorshka's, which is actually pretty cool. It's actually a hammer and a spear, and it has some faith attributes. But it's weird because it doesn't have any faith scaling, or it doesn't scale with faith in any way, which I thought was kind of weird. But it is some kind of weapon that was given to knights of the church, and like I said, it is a hammer and a spear. So the R1 attacks are all like spear type attacks, like a lunging spear, and the R2 are kind of like sweeping hammer strikes. But it does have a cool skill, and when you actually activate its skill, there is what happens. I'm trying to look at my notes here. Is when you activate the skill, your attacks will actually wear down on the enemy's FP as well as their HP. And as you saw too, I did freeze before for a blood gem, and right now I'm actually about to fight what I think is actually called, they're actually called Sullivan's Beasts, but they actually remind me of like some kind of dog hybrid gaping dragon. And right there you see, as I killed it, they dropped the Pontiff's right eye, which boosts attack to 15%, maximum with successive hits. So every time you get a hit in succession, basically like when you're doing a combo, you can get an attack boost of up to 15%. And this boosts, you'll get like a boost every 3 to 5 hits, and there should be a status icon, and obviously the icon and your buff will disappear if you don't attack for a little while. We also just picked up the Great Heal Miracle, which is really good for which is really good for healing yourself and your friends, because you can actually pause it as you're going through the animation. And this miracle also heals up to 550%, depending on your talisman's buff. So depending on how much or how many upgrades you've made to your talisman will actually can kind of depend too. And here is a really weird named ash. It's the excrement covered ash, and this you can give to the handmaiden, and it will unlock the blue bug pellet, the blooming purple moss clump, and more dung pie. Hurrah. Right there too you saw the onion knight, or Sigurd, and that's actually kind of like the third time you meet him, aside from the well outside the Cathedral of the Deep, and the first time you meet him near the tower with the big spear chucker guy at the top. And I actually made videos about both of them, and if you're trying to complete his quest line, then by all means please go check out my channel, where I have both titled the Onion Knight puzzle and the Onion Knight puzzle 2, one having to do with the elevator and the second one having to do with a well. Those will both be there, as well as many other really good videos actually. My channel's pretty awesome, and I've been doing tons of Dark Souls, which of course you know if you've seen any of my outros, which is the same thing. But we're gonna come up to all these chests, and I actually ran by these chests the first time, so I had to come back and get them. I don't know how I did that, but here's a really cool hammer, which Smoughs' great hammer, which in parentheses could be the best hammer in the game in my opinion, with 50 strength, and the Smoughs' great hammer boosted to +5. It actually has an attack rating of 606, whereas the a +10 Great Club, which has an A scaling, has an attack rating of 567. Sorry guys, I have actually added that in after I did the first voiceover, because the first time I actually said 606 twice. So that's my bad, and carry on with the video. Thank you. But it's kind of weird because the Great Hammer has a B rating, and the Great Club has an A scaling, not rating, scaling. Also in the area we picked up the Leo Ring, which strengthens your thrust weapon counter by 15%. This is not a backstab or a riposte. If you're looking to increase your backstab with a riposte, you're going to be looking for something called the Hornet Ring that actually isn't in this area. But it's going to be talking about like your counter attacks, which is basically like when an enemy is swinging at you or has just swung, and basically you swing back or you swing first. That's going to be like your counter. So the game will be able to identify that attack as a counter and will apply that buff if you're wearing the Leo ring and using a thrusting weapon. But like I said, it does not apply to the backstabs or the ripostes. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. And I guess we're coming up close to the end of this area, and you see I'm fighting a lot more guys. I didn't have the end really cleared out, but there's really not too much left. These guys are actually all pretty easy. I'm surprised there weren't more of like the Pantiffs knights towards the end. But as you saw too, we just unlocked a shortcut over to this area, which is pretty much right. That door was like right outside the first cathedral. And now we're pretty much coming up to the very top where that is the boss gate right there. And here's one of the Pontiff knights with a scythe. And there's another one with a shield. He's a total wuss. I actually didn't even think to do like the kicks on like a lot of those larger shield knights until around this time in the game, and now I do it all the time. Also, before you jump down there to open that or to grab that item, make sure you come down and open this gate first, because it'll actually make things a lot faster than, I mean, I guess you do have the one shortcut unlocked on the side, but if you really under the gun, you should probably open the gate first and then go back up and drop down. And this will be the last item I talk about, will be the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. And this ring will boost your miracles by 20%, the miracle damage by 20%. It will not boost your heals or your buffs. And that's going to be pretty much it, guys. You can see there's the fog gate up here, and here's the last bonfire down here. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'm going to be making a lot of Dark Souls 3 videos. I am new to YouTube, and I am trying to grow a subscriber base. So I would like to ask and encourage everyone who liked my video to please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and comment below. And let me know what kind of videos you guys like and what kind of videos you'd like to see, as well as any questions you might have about the game.